It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition. And it lies in your hand. It is the blank screen of your smartphone, a dimension we call the Black Mirror. Welcome to Hops and Monsters. I am Charlie.
I'm Ben.
We are going to talk about our latest obsession, for me, my latest obsession, Black Mirror, science fiction anthology TV show.
It's such a good show.
Such a good show. It's such a great social commentary, horrifying show. It's currently on Netflix. But first, as this is a discussion of uninhibited nerdery, what is uninhibiting you right now, Ben?
I'm being uninhibited by hops of wrath.
Exactly.
This is
give me more.
great beer born of hard times. It's a play on the Grapes of Wrath by Steinbeck.
Out the gate with a literary...
It's a tribute to the strong-willed, gritty people of the Dust Bowl in the Great Depression era.
Oh, boy. Who makes that? Where's that coming from? That's a good beer.
Dust Bowl.
Dust Bowl. Oh, okay. There you go. Sticking with the history, I'm drinking a winter ale. I'm drinking Slayer from Ninkasi.
So let's sing a slang song.
Yeah, please do.
Rain and blood.
Rain and blood. Slayer, Sleigh'r, not Slayer, but Slayer, Rosebud. You know, the sleigh. This is a great winter ale.
Yeah, but it's spelled,
lots of malt.
The logo looks like Slayer the band.
Absolutely, it does.
Which is awesome.
You've got the devil horns. I love the devil horns in the new. Every year they do a new illustration, so they're rocking out. God bless you, Ninkasi. They're out of Eugene, Oregon. Tonight we're talking about Black Mirror. So 2016 has shown us a lot of ugly stuff, but it's also shown us a lot of good stuff in entertainment. And I think Black Mirror is the tops of what has come out of 2016. It's a horror anthology show.
Filmed in 2011 in Britain.
Well, originally the first season comes out
came out on Channel 4 and Netflix bought the series.
On the BBC. If you're a fan of Black Mirror, you obviously know this isn't the first time it's been around. And
if you haven't seen it yet, stop right now and go and start binge watching it.
Yeah, you can find the whole thing on Netflix. Go stream it. We'll undoubtedly spoil things we don't mean to spoil in this episode. But we really want to talk about it. It's something that we've been discussing nonstop for the last couple of weeks, and we're going to do it in front of you right now. So, Black Mirror, a BBC show created by Charlie Brooker, written largely by Charlie. I think he's done pretty much every episode. Of the episodes. He kind of runs the show. Yeah, there's a director for every episode who gives you the vision overall, but Charlie is definitely the guy on set running the show. Basically, it's a Twilight Zone of the 21st century.
I'd say that's a good definition of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's not
Twilight Zone for millennials.
Yeah, it's your Twilight Zone, guys, so embrace it. I'm a big fan of Twilight Zone. I mean, should we give some context? Let's kind of roll back
I'm good with that.
The dial a little bit. I grew up, again, I've told this on other episodes, very sheltered. One of the few things I could watch that was really interesting was The Twilight Zone.
Scared the hell out of me as a kid.
It was an old show. It's from 1959. It's more than 50 years old at this point. Which is what's crazy.
John Hamm would make an awesome Rod Serling if they ever redid that series.
If you don't know who Rod Serling is, think of John Hamm with the cigarette from Mad Men, because Rod Serling basically had a cigarette in his hand every scene he was in the Twilight Zone. But he narrates the show. He presents these weekly stories. None of them are connected. It's an anthology. It's the kind of the beginning of anthology television. That and Alfred Hitchcock, he did a show the same way. But Rod Serling was this guy who, I mean, I've been doing some research on him, and I love Rod Serling because he is the angry young man of the 1950s in television. He is the guy who is fighting against the censors. He's fighting against all the roadblocks that everyone puts up against him. And he has to make a show like The Twilight Zone so that he can talk about contemporary issues in a fantasy setting, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but let me ask you this.
Okay.
If Twilight Zone came out today, do you think Rod Serling would have made an episode involving a pig? Or is that just too far? Is that like on the human centipede scale of bad taste?
Rod Serling was definitely the kind of guy who understood that you could put a morality tale in the realm of science fiction, in the realm of fantasy, in the realm of horror, and get away with stuff that you couldn't get away with before.
Much like Black Mirror is trying to do now.
Which is basically what happens with Black Mirror, yeah. And we'll get into all of that. I feel like you got to understand the history to understand why Black Mirror is so cool. Because on the surface, it's just a bunch of disconnected episodes about various things. But if you understand that, no, we're telling kind of an overall morality tale.
Well, there's an underlying theme of technology crossed with horror.
Yeah.
And about how difficult it makes our life, even though it's supposed to make it easier, but it doesn't really. It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, Black Mirror has got its grip on the technological aspect of society and the things that affect it that way. And
the Black Mirror literally is the face of your cell phone, your tablet in front of you.
Yeah.
When it's not on and showing any apps, just that is the Black Mirror.
Exactly. Yeah, if you ever look at yourself through a TV, that's the Black Mirror.
Well, it's also our whole identities are tied to our phone and tablets and our online persona. And that's the morality play here.
Right. And it's a very recent occurrence that we've been dominated by this kind of technology. So
we're still reeling from it and trying to figure out how to deal.
Yeah, what Charlie Brooker and the people behind Black Mirror do so well is to highlight all the tangents that we could go off if we were involved in this technology.
It's horrifying because they describe situations and scenarios and technology that could very well happen 10 minutes from now. Right. Or 2 years from now.
Yeah.
And the fact that it could happen is the scary part.
Yeah. But the style of the show comes from a long history, and you got to start with Rod Serling. You've got to talk about the Twilight Zone. You've got to talk about stuff like Tales from the Crypt, things like Tales from the Dark Side. It's the idea that each episode can be its own self-contained reality. Each episode can be its own morality tale. Each episode can teach you something, and it can be different from every other episode. So at the worst, hey, if you don't like one, you just watch the other one, right? But at best, this
you whole the
whole collage comes together and means something more than it did on its own as an individual story. That's kind of what I get from Black Mirror.
Yeah, you can tell they're all connected. It's different points on the timeline of emerging technology.
Yeah. So when I tell people that I like Black Mirror and I tell them they should watch it, everyone gives me the same response, Ben.
What about the pig?
What is up with the pig? What is up with episode 1? And I got to ask you, man, what were these guys thinking making the first...
I think I know exactly what they were thinking.
Making the first episode So the first episode of season 1 on the BBC aired nationally in England. The first episode of Black Mirror depicts the Prime Minister, a
fictional Prime Minister in present time.
But it depicts him having... I'm trying to find a delicate way to say this.
He's being forced by kidnappers and ransomers who have abducted a royal princess. And they've sent him an ultimatum.
It's a hell of an ultimatum.
Has to be filmed having intercourse with a pig, a female pig. Just
I almost can't even talk about it. I'm like blushing right now on.
It's not like Deliverance. It's not like it was.
But that is every time I'd say, oh yeah, I like Black Mirror, you should watch it. They go, the episode where the guy had to fuck a pig. I don't understand.
It turned me off, man.
It's rough. It's a rough opening.
I started watching that, 6 months ago, and then I had to stop because I just found that so disturbing.
Yeah.
And then I came back to it and started watching a few other episodes, and then I finally got it. I finally got up the nerve to go back and watch the one about the pig.
But imagine someone who...
It's called National Anthem.
National Anthem is the episode. A royal princess is kidnapped by hackers.
Season 1.
This is something that, this is the very first thing you see of Black Mirror is a well-respected man forced to have relations with an animal.
To save the life of a royal princess.
And this is supposed to be the satire. It was a pretty...
And he's concerned about his approval rating during the whole thing.
Well, yeah, wouldn't you be? That's what matters. Yeah, he doesn't do it to save the life of some princess. He does it because he wants to keep his job.
But my theory about why they decided to put this as the first episode of season 1.
Please, I want to hear this theory.
The controversy. That's, I mean, that's publicity gold right there.
It's
the nerve.
Crazy, man. It is.
Of a British show.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's like asking our president to have sex with a pig. This show's going to be flagged by the NSA, by the way, now.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Appreciate that. No, but it's a hell of a way to open up. This is who we are. This is what we do. We are Black Mirror, and we show this. It's taboo beyond taboo. It's insane. And it's a real downer, the whole episode, right?
Well, let's be honest.
It's not a happy tale.
There's no happy endings in any episode, except for maybe that one called San Junipero. I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, well, I will defend that one, tooth and nail, for sure. But yeah, the BBC obviously is one of those things where you see a lot of things you wouldn't see on mainstream American television. That's where The Office was born. That's where a lot of The Fall, who we both love.
Oh, that's a great show.
Yeah, but it's its own beast, and it allows for the creator to have control. But man, you got to wonder what those guys were thinking the first time they got that episode back.
Money.
It was like,
that's what was on their mind.
The pig
and publicity.
The pig. And
they are exploiting the magic of the Black Mirror.
Episode 1, a lot like episodes 2 and 3, that first season, which is only 3 episodes, just brutal, just degrading, really harsh stuff. That season 3, episode.
There's always a turnaround and a twist.
Yeah, episode 3 of that show is like a Mike Nichols drama. It's all the relationship drama, the memories. He forces the woman to replay her memories in front of him. Man, it's really tough. It's tough stuff.
And, these are things we're going to have to contend with in the next decade or so when we have memory implants and we can play back memories and we can throw them up on a screen for people to see. And it's called a redo. I think that's what they
called it in the show. Yeah, but it kind of makes it that much more terrifying because the Twilight Zone was like aliens show up or a nuclear apocalypse or time travel. There's all these kind of fantastical ideas that go along with a lot of these sci-fi anthology shows, like what if this, what if that. Well, this is really more of a what if we did the next logical step in what's going to happen. That's kind of where Black Mirror really gets me, is that you can imagine someone kidnapping a princess.
Yeah, this could happen
and demanding that the prime minister
I'm surprised it hasn't happened
himself.
Yet.
You can, episode 2 of that first season is a reality TV show taken to the extreme. Episode 3 is Facebook or anything else that saves your memories and then presents them to you later, taken to the extreme. So it's kind of grounded in this weird reality that we are currently dealing with. And that's what kind of freaks me out.
Brought on by emerging technology.
Yeah, that's what freaks me out, man.
And our ability to cope with it.
Again, the pig episode freaked me out way more than it should have. And I kind of turned off Black Mirror for a long time, actually. I just was like, I don't want to watch that show.
It's not the kind of thing you want to watch with your fiance on the couch.
Yeah, it's not a relaxing evening after you've spent all day at work. It's not the way you want to unwind. But recently, this last year, the show got picked up by Netflix. They bought the 3rd season and produced it. And to me, that's where the real great stories have come around. So
well, at least the first couple of them.
The first couple. So yeah, should we just go? I don't know. So if you haven't watched it, watch it. But we're going to go episode by episode here because
we'll talk about our favorite episodes.
Each one is its own little kind of mini movie. That's what's so great about these anthology shows is that you can kind of pick apart each one on its own. You don't have to say, well, in episode 2 they did this, so in episode 3 they did this. You can kind of just say, well, this is its own entity. So that new season, I think Charlie Brooker and the people he worked with really stepped it up to the next level.
What was your favorite episode of season 3 so far then?
Season 3, favorite episode is San Junipero. That's my favorite episode.
The one that arguably the only the only episode in the entire series that has a happy ending, if you can call it that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a
Not
sucker
even
for that.
horror
I'm a sucker for
influenced
that.
at all.
No, I know, and it's probably gonna conflict with your favorite episode of season 3. But every episode is such a downer that this one episode came through and it had a relatively happy ending, and it made you kind of believe in the positive aspects of the technology. Like every episode is just basically like.
That's true. That it presented a juxtaposition.
Yeah,
for once.
I mean, start with episode 1 of season 3. So. Episode 1 is Nosedive, right? I mean, should we just get into it?
Let's get into it.
Here we go.
Good place to start.
You guys know how right now in your current life you rate things 5 stars. That's kind of the standard star rating online, right?
But what if you could do that to people in real life in real time?
And anyone and everyone in your day-to-day life. Well, you do it with Yelp.
And what if your social standing depended on you getting enough likes?
Exactly. What if you were that Uber driver out there who depended on 5-star reviews to get booked for gigs, to get booked for driving? Or if your
rating drops below 2.5, you can't even book an Uber driver.
Yeah. You can't even get into the office building.
It's like worse than having the lowest credit rating ever.
Yeah. Episode 1 of season 3 is Nosedive, and it's a nightmare. A descent into insanity. The real world. Yeah, it's
brought on by technology.
And it is you know who the lead is in that? Bryce Dallas Howard, Ron Howard's kid.
Really?
Yeah, she's in Jurassic World, and she's the redhead you see in things from time to time. She was in The Village with M. Night and Lady in the Water as well. So she's been around, but
I thought she looked familiar, but
yeah, that's her. She is in a world where your social status is everything. You are rated based on
your likability.
But it's like, it's not even, it's all the little encounters. It's when you get a cup of coffee, the barista gives you 5 stars for being a nice customer. When you're in the office mate gives you 5 stars for bringing in cookies or whatever it is.
So you have to be polite, like your life depends upon it.
To everybody. You don't get to relax.
You can't risk a bad review.
No. Not from the guy who gave you a ride at the airport. Not from the woman at the counter. Everything has to be your best.
So what happens when you have like the worst day of your life, when you're Bryce Dallas Howard and you have to be the bride of honor at your friend's wedding, and you're trying to book a flight to get there in time because it's in 2 days, and you can't because your score has been dropping like crazy because of all the dislikes you've been getting.
Yeah. And dislikes that you didn't earn.
You're only going to go crazier.
Yeah, it's
and get even more dislikes.
It's a very apropos title because this girl takes a nosedive in this episode. But yeah, you think about I've taken Lyft and Uber a couple places, and you're supposed to give the driver a rating. Yelp, you're supposed to give someone a rating. Even on iTunes. By the way, listen to us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating.
Please.
We are Hops and Monsters.
We can't drop below a 3.0 now.
No, we depend on this, and we need people to give us good reviews, to give us high-star ratings, and that's a lot of pressure when that doesn't happen. And
we don't care. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Yeah, we're not there yet, but poor Bryce Dallas Howard. She tries to make it to a wedding. She doesn't get there. She's covered in mud by the end of the episode.
But it just goes bad.
But that one was so that episode was kind of where I picked up Black Mirror again, because I couldn't get through the whole pig episode. I was like, this isn't really doing it for me. I didn't watch season 2.
A pig wasn't doing it for you?
The pig,
I don't believe
the sexy pig wasn't doing it for me. I'm sorry. It didn't happen.
But it had some nice udders.
It did. Seemed like a very nice pig. I'm sure it was a fine person.
That was one charming motherfucking pig.
But I gave Black Mirror another chance, and this episode just sucked me right in, and I've seen every episode since because it was so effective in the message it was trying to tell. It wasn't pounding you over the head with the morality tale, but it was illustrating. It was all about
morality for me.
Yeah, I mean it's not light on it, but
bestiality is still illegal.
Exactly. If we've learned nothing from Black Mirror, don't do that. No, it's one of those that first episode is the perfect kind of reintroduction into the show, because It says, this is the tone. This is how, it's not a happy ending. It's not.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, she gets down to a 1.4 in her rating and ends up getting arrested for threatening people at a wedding with a wedding cake knife.
Yes, the cake knife.
She gets her phone taken away and her ZI implants taken out, so you can't see your personality score.
Yeah,
when that happens,
it's very intrinsic, and that's what I love about that episode is that you're watching as the viewer. You're being introduced to these new technologies, but you're immediately on board.
Yeah, you get
as
it.
The audience.
It's just Facebook 2.0.
Yeah, and you totally get what's going on. This isn't a stretch.
Time.
Yeah, this is not a stretch of the imagination. You when she encounters that truck driver who's got a 1.4, you immediately go, "Oh, that's a terrible rating."
That's bad.
And in your head, you are already judging what must this person have done to receive a poor rating.
She just didn't give a fuck.
But it's like how we're just
she says
on board.
Whatever she wants to anyone she wants, and she finds there's freedom in that.
You can't do that.
And that's the moral message of this episode.
Yeah, the very cathartic ending of this episode is just the big exhale of I just want to be myself.
You can swear at a complete stranger with smiles on your face.
Yeah, you just have to you have to breathe out. You can't be. It's this episode that nosedive episode kind of reminds me of the old Twilight episode where the kid can control reality. I don't know if you ever saw this one. Oh, yeah,
I did see that one.
And everyone around the kid has to act
like a jack-in-a-box.
Yeah,
head.
exactly. Everyone, The Simpsons did it, and everyone around the kid has to act like super friendly, smiley.
They don't want to piss them off.
Overly bright, and that's what this episode does, except everyone has the power, like this kid does, to transform your reality. And that's what's so terrifying.
That's an abusive power
scary.
that should never be exploited.
Yeah, to think that some guy who doesn't like your sweater could hurt you socially.
Give you a bad rating for a bad sweater.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't wear a Cosby sweater.
Scary. Ooh, it's scary.
Anyway, just go see the episode.
Go see that episode. We're gonna get more into Black Mirror season 3 because that's really what we want to talk about. We have theories back and forth. We're about 20 minutes in, so we're gonna take a break because I have to use the restroom and get another Slayer. All right, we'll be right back. This is Hops and Monsters. I'm Charlie.
I'm Ben.
We are talking Black Mirror. Welcome back to Hops and Monsters. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Ben.
You're listening to Uninhibited Nerdery. We are especially uninhibited tonight.
Yes, we're getting way lit up.
I'm drinking Ninkasi Brewing Company's Winter Ale, the Slayer seasonal release.
That's your second one, right?
It's at least my second one.
So
yeah, for sure.
You're well 2 beers in at this point.
We're very well in.
I'm on my second Hops of Wrath.
Tonight we are talking about Black Mirror. We are talking about anthology horror as a genre, but we're really talking about Black Mirror because it is our obsession right now.
It's probably the best thing on TV at the moment. You really should go see it if you haven't seen it yet. And definitely stop listening right now if you haven't seen it yet.
If you haven't seen it, we're going to spoil things.
We're dropping major spoilers, but we have to in the context that we're offering our commentary on it.
Yeah, and it's funny that we even call it TV because it's on Netflix at this point.
You can binge watch the hell out of it. You know?
TV is such a different concept than what it was 20 years ago, and we are in the midst of that. And the best TV right now exists on a platform that is strictly online, not on television.
Yeah, who pays for cable anymore?
Yeah, it doesn't exist. So welcome to the new generation. We talk about TV online. That's Netflix. That's Black Mirror. We talked a lot about the first episode. We talked a lot about the first episode of the third season. The third season being the first season on Netflix. Okay, so for me, that's really where the meat of this show is. It's in the third season. It's in the last 6 episodes we've gotten in the last couple months. Ben, why is episode 2 so cool? I want you to kind of talk more. I've been talking too much tonight.
Well, this episode, season 3, episode 2, is called Playtest.
Playtest.
Directed by Dan Trachtenberg. Stars Wyatt Russell, who is the son of one of our favorite actors, Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. You're going to hear a lot about Kurt Russell in an upcoming throwback episode.
Yeah, he's pretty much a cultural icon to us.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
numerous reasons.
And his son does a good job.
Son just knocks it out of the park. He's definitely cut from the same cloth, and he looks like a blonde-haired young Kurt Russell.
His name is Wyatt. Wyatt.
Is that a Tombstone reference?
Is
Wyatt Earp?
It might be. You think? I wonder if the ages match up. I wonder because Tombstone was in the early '90s. Wyatt looks to be about mid-20s. Yeah.
I wonder if he was conceived on set.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Old Wyatt Russell. But this is a great episode because we are also big video game fans, and this is a video game episode.
And it's a survival horror video game.
Yeah.
Virtual reality playtest. I don't know if you remember a game. If you have a PlayStation 4, you might have downloaded a demo that we talked about called Playable Teaser.
We talked about this in the H.P. Lovecraft episode, but yes. Scary. Video games are the scariest thing right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, this looked like it was being made out to be some sort of virtual reality horror franchise, but it was really the 9th installment of Silent Hills, but got canceled by Konami. So this episode is almost like it was written in mind, with Playable Teaser in mind, because there's like a Japanese Hideo Kojima type video game director who hires Wyatt Russell. His character is called Cooper, I guess.
Cooper, yeah. The most American name possible, honestly.
He plays. He's traveling through Europe, ends up in England, and he plays, the ugly, arrogant American tourist, to the hilt,
Right, with the big beard and the long hair.
Yeah. Ends up running out of money and has to take a job to make some cash to get a ticket back to America.
Yeah.
Signs up to do this playable test, and it's a virtual reality in a haunted house scenario.
It is, yeah, and it's a great mix of kind of that old school feeling of what a video game should be, and then what it's becoming, and then the character is dropped into this immersive world of a scary haunted house, and he knows he's in a test. That's what's so great about it. So he is reacting as if he knows he's being tested.
Yeah, he's talking out loud like you and me would be, for oh yeah, okay, I see what you did there. Yeah, that's not scary.
Right.
Really trying to play it off being brave, but in the end he just gets annihilated by what he has to.
Yeah, without wanting to spoil this episode, you should watch this one strictly for Mr. Russell's performance. It scared the
hell out of me.
It is a great shot at what would happen if, because again, no one knows what their perception is in this show, and it's kind of like a Twilight Zone. You don't have a reliable narrator. You're watching things from a perspective of someone who may be going insane, who may be affected by outside factors.
Right, and you keep on, it's the time, the honored cliche of, he wakes up in the dream, and is he still dreaming, though? Is he still in the game?
Is he still in the game? Yeah.
And you're on your toes throughout the entire episode, not knowing what's real and what's not. He can't tell.
Yeah.
The most horrifying thing about this is that this program, this game that he's involved in, the simulation, seems to be erasing his memories the longer he stays in the game world, to the point where he has no idea who he is anymore. Yeah.
And we're already living in a world where VR, virtual reality stuff is
around the corner,
happening.
Folks.
It's kind of where you have to put on the big blocky glasses at this point, but people are kind of losing themselves in these games already. And again, this is Black Mirror taking a established idea and running with it.
Yeah.
And going to the extreme with it. And that's why it's so effective.
And ironically, his downfall is because of his own Black Mirror, the phone that he was supposed to turn off in the game he left on.
Right.
Well, the signal on the phone interfered with his brain implant.
Spoiler alert.
it ends up screwing it up so that he can't get out of the game, and they can't stop the program running. It starts running on its own.
Yeah.
And it just drives him out of his mind, insane. So, moving on, episode 3.
Episode 3,
now this
3.
one, they've been getting better and better.
Right.
This one just took it a mile ahead, in my opinion.
Okay.
Shut Up and Dance.
It's a great title.
And this is not about in the future. This one is taking place right now. And this is also the first episode that I noticed a cake was delivered. We'll get back to that.
The reoccurring cake theme
There's a lot of
shows up
cakes
heavy
being
in this
delivered
one.
here. I wonder if there's something that
Maybe it's a British thing. Maybe they have cakes.
I wonder if there's
I don't know.
it's like a David Lynch mystery that I want to solve.
They have tea time. They have cake time. I
Easter
don't know.
eggs.
Who knows what they're doing? But this, this is about a kid who gets lulled into a plot.
By internet trolls.
Yeah, by internet
and
trolls.
Hackers.
And we know you're out there.
Watching this episode will make you want to permanently disable the webcam on all your devices. Just fair warning.
Yeah, but guys, you should be disabling these webcam devices. Anyways, let me be the one to tell you that.
But now this is a damn horror story, okay? Because this is taut and tense throughout. I think it's one of the best of the bunch. I don't know, but you disagree.
I disagree. This one doesn't hit me that hard. I think it's because I don't think I can put myself in the shoes of this character as much as I do the other characters. I think a lot of what Black Mirror does effectively is it puts you in the shoes of the protagonist. Whether you're that person who's trying to reach level 5 of popularity, whether you're the person who's trying to beat the video game. This episode, it gives you a 16-year-old kid who's basically caught fapping. I mean, on his computer, and
with the webcam on,
he's
unknown to his knowledge.
Blackmailed for that.
They're going to release it to his contact list.
There's a twist at the end. Let's not get into it. There is a twist at the end, but I didn't really follow this character the way you did. You followed. You liked what happened in this episode. It's terrifying. It really is terrifying. Yeah, I
was on the edge of my seat watching it the whole time, and
yeah.
you didn't like it for that reason.
I guess maybe I thought the ending didn't hold up for what I wanted.
Well, I had to watch it a second time because I was completely wrong about the ending the first time I saw it, which almost would have been a cooler idea, but I don't know if I should even. I'm not going to spoil that for you. Yeah,
there's a lot to be spoiled with Shut Up and Dance. But basically, imagine if you're being blackmailed by Anonymous, who saw you do something embarrassing.
And
how far would you go?
Whatever they say.
Would you take
They're going to send you a text that you have to be at this location in 20 minutes, and you better be there.
Yeah.
Or they're releasing all your dirt to your entire contact list.
Yeah, exactly. What kind of dirty secrets do you have that you would not want exposed? I mean, it's a good episode. For me, it just didn't. I wasn't on board. I wasn't on board for this guy. I don't know. This poor kid. I felt bad for him. And then you find out why you should not feel bad for him. It's just one of those things, right? Spoiler alert.
Well, okay, I'll just say right now, I didn't even catch that subtext till I watched it the second time. And I saw how he was reacting to certain characters in the beginning that made no sense to me.
Yeah, that's one of the strongest parts about Black Mirror is it's rewatchable because the second time around you catch so much more to the story.
Who knows what you'll see the third or fourth time.
Unfolding without you even knowing it, yeah. And that's why I love San Junipero, my favorite episode. And maybe we have a little conflict here, right? Because I don't feel like you're feeling it like I am.
It's a good episode, but I was just bored to tears. It's a straight up romance.
Benjamin, it's a love story. That's what's so great about San Junipero, episode 4 of season 3. It's for me, it was like a much needed break from the dreary, bleak worldview of the first 3 episodes. I love the story. I love the time period. It's set in 1987. All the music, all the visuals, everything is nostalgic. Everything harkens back perfectly to that time period. And then it's one of those where when the twist is revealed, and again, I don't want to give it away, but when the twist is revealed, you should go back and watch it a second time because every line of dialogue has a secondary meaning. Every line of dialogue has a hidden meaning. Every character has this deeper motivation. I just think pure storytelling, that's their highlight. Charlie Brooker, everyone else, San Junipero, they topped the mountain on storytelling.
If you're a nerd for 80s nostalgia, it's definitely your thing.
Absolutely. It's 100% your thing. If you like seeing old pinball games or they play
ridiculous 80s
Pac-Man, they play
fashions, horrible music, it's all there.
Yeah, you got to love that. But I think it's one of those where
John Hughes could have directed it.
I remember watching it. Also, I don't know if you caught this, Ben, but there's a shout out to Santa Rosa, California.
That's true.
In San Junipero.
Yeah, that's true. One of the characters is living in Santa Rosa.
My hometown. So shout out to Santa Rosa for being a progressive, technologically advanced society in San Junipero. But for me, every moment of that is that episode is just a treasure. I don't know how else to say it. I treasure it. It really made me feel much different things about society because everything is raining down ugliness, blackness, terribleness. San Junipero is kind of the one ray of light in Black Mirror, if I can put it that way.
I suppose it's the only one with arguably a happy ending, depending on how you look at it.
It is. I feel happy. I don't know. But I want to be happy. Why can't I be happy, Ben? We're watching this stuff.
You could start another podcast for that.
It's like this a sledgehammer.
Beer and monsters and horrible times.
I would love to talk to Charlie Brooker about what is it like to just slug your audience with a sledgehammer at the end of every episode. That's how I feel.
Well, so you also liked Hated in the Nation, which was the season 3 closer.
That's the closer. That's the big 90-minute kind of, I don't know, finale of season 3. Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was a finale at all. I was just left flat.
You didn't like it? Yeah. Well,
I mean, and normally that's weird because I love Kelly MacDonald. I've been a fan of her since Trainspotting. I usually enjoy anything she's in.
She's great. Yeah, she's the actress, the lead in it. People who don't know her might know her from No Country for Old Men, where she played James Brolin's
it's a great
wife.
movie, yeah, and she was take an
The
Irish
thick
actor and plop her in the middle of Texas, and it still works.
What's so crazy? What's so crazy about this stuff is how all these British, Irish,
I think she's
European
Scottish,
actors, just they got the American accent down, man. We must have the lamest accent,
right?
Of any
no
accent.
Personality whatsoever.
Everyone can come in
North
and do
Americans
our accent gangbusters. You put an American in a British role, they sound like a high
so
school.
Stupid. They can't even pull it off.
Thespian, yeah, it's terrible.
Don't have the enunciation.
Y'all the accent.
But, I mean, it seemed to me, getting back to the episode here, it seemed like it was 2 or 3 stories all mashed up into one and trying to make something cohesive that didn't quite work.
Yeah, I get that. It has so Hated in the Nation is about let's see.
Using Twitter
where do we start?
to go after hated public figures.
It's about
whoever's number one at the moment.
Yeah. But there's also this element of bees don't exist anymore because we all know bees are dying out for some reason. So drones exist as bees. And so there's this whole aspect of drone technology versus what happens with social media versus what happens when hackers take control of things that they're not supposed to have control of. But it's a slog, man. I mean, again, this whole series, we're talking about like we love it. It is a real slog. It is depressing. It is tiring. This is the show where you love it, and at the same time you go, I can't watch another second of this. It is so sad, so hard. What do you think? I mean, did you binge watch all of this? I mean,
no, I watched it in segments.
Yeah, this isn't like Twin.
I mean, I watched
Twin
it
Peaks
when it came out a year ago on Netflix. I was all over it, and I marked it down on my calendar when season 3 was coming out, and it came out 2 weeks ahead of time, and I was so happy.
Oh, nice.
And I wasn't disappointed, with the first 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But the last couple ones just fell flat for me.
Well, it happens.
Let's talk about one of the good ones, like White Bear.
Oh, yeah. Season 2, White Bear. It is the biggest twist, I think, of the whole series, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to spoil this one. Okay,
yeah,
you're just gonna have to go watch it, and
that one is the closest one to like kind of a modern horror film I could think of.
It's very reminiscent of You're Next, if you've ever seen that.
Yeah, it is horrifying. That one is really scary, and it's got great actors throughout, and it's really
And
stark.
you'll watch it and you'll feel like you're watching all these tired horror cliches, and you'll think you've figured it out and know what's going on. And by the end of it, you just realize you're completely wrong about everything you just saw.
Yeah,
and it puts everything in context, and you realize, oh my God, okay, they got one over on me.
They get you.
If you're telling me that you saw that episode and you saw what was coming at the end, you're lying.
Right, exactly. One of the best twists. And at the same time, I guess let's wrap it up with maybe the best episode of Black Mirror in the entire series, White Christmas, the Christmas special.
Was that the season finale of one? Or
I don't know. I don't know if there was a season finale or if it was just its own thing. But it's the Christmas, because every great show, Ben, has to have a Christmas special. You know that.
Star Wars did it.
Yeah. Yeah, Star Wars
that worked
did
out well.
it. Everyone does it. Christmas. What do you think Black Mirror is going to do with Christmas? Probably make it terrifying.
I think
and
they're going to
horrifying.
do something different and do it on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So
No.
yeah, exactly. The special Thanksgiving Christmas episode. No, but that's the one to see. I almost
John
feel like
Hamm from Mad Men.
Yeah,
if knocks it out of the park with his role here.
It's an amazing performance by John Hamm and everyone in it.
Could be a feature film. It's that good, and the stories take place in 3 distinct acts, but they're all involving John Hamm. He's in each one of them. It's playing a different role.
It's
but
kind of a
together.
crazy, like in the anthology series. Of course, every episode is its own thing, but in the anthology series Christmas special, it breaks it down even further, right, into 3 separate stories.
Right, that are all interconnected.
They're interconnected, yeah, for sure.
They all result in a very harsh reality at the end of it for everyone involved. And
yeah,
it's it's about the near future where people have eye implants called Z eyes.
And Ben's making the eye implant motion at me right now. With the eyes.
For context.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
The idea behind this is that everyone can record directly from your memories and play back on special contact lenses called Z eyes, or you can bounce it to a screen for everyone to watch your memories if you want.
Right.
Kind of like the what they did with the movie Strange Days in the mid '90s with Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Lewis.
Oh yeah.
Not a bad movie. It just came out at the wrong time.
Too early. Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
People
and
were
in
not
that
ready
respect,
for that.
Blade Runner came out. Blade Runner's saying that this is what's the world in 2019. As much as I love Blade Runner and how that is really, I think that's going to be more like 2020, 2056 or something like that instead.
Right.
2019 is going to look like Black Mirror. We're going to have technology that allows people to block you in real time through these special eye implants you have.
Yeah, it's messed
and they're
up.
just going to, if you block somebody that you don't want to talk to or see in public, they're going to appear as a blurry, staticky outline, and their voice is going to be muffled like you're listening to them underwater or something.
Yeah, that is the White Christmas episode where John Hamm is blocked by everyone, and his wife is included. His kids are included. It's a great...
Well, it gets even worse than that.
Yeah,
he gets, because of events in the story, he gets on the register for sex offenders, and when that happens to you, you appear as a blurry red outline to everyone around you.
Yeah, he's a peeping
horrifying.
Tom. He's a peeping Tom.
Well,
Don't think John
really
Hamm's done anything wrong.
He was helping
John Hamm didn't do
lonely
anything wrong.
guys hit on chicks at bars by virtually looking through their eyes and telling them what they need to say.
Yeah, he's a life coach.
He's a life coach for
that
lonely
makes you a
young
peeping
men.
Tom in the future.
It goes bad for him, and he ends up advising some random poor dude that hey, you should go hit on that chick over there. She ends up being schizophrenic and tries to poison them both.
Well, she does.
And
she doesn't just try. She does.
He tells his wife what happened, because he's an honest husband, and that's not even his real job. This is what he does for a hobby. Okay.
Yeah.
His real job. So, in the future, you can have your consciousness split into a copy made of you that fits into a grain-sized capsule. And what the purpose of this is to run your smart house for you, because it is you. But before this can happen, his job is to break the willpower of this second consciousness that fully believes it's a lie, even though it's a copy of you.
Yeah, it's truly one of the craziest ideas.
And he
of
can
this
do
whole
things like he
series.
can speed up time, 5 seconds to you when you're just digital copy of consciousness, he can make that stretch it out to 6 months if he wants to, and you're in solitary the entire time.
6 months, 1,000 years. Yeah, it's
horrifying.
The idea that your consciousness is just data rather than, I mean,
and maybe that's all we really are, is just data.
That's the big question, right? I mean, that's the thing that Black Mirror does. It makes you think about the real essential: who are we? What are we? Why are we? What is everything around us? And it kind of puts it into a different perspective, like what if? But it's a what if.
It's not what if. It's this will be. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, okay.
We've got to contend with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to contend with grabbing another beer. We are at the end of Black Mirror
well,
tonight.
Not really. I mean, we didn't even talk about half the episodes. Maybe we'll have to do a part 2 of this at some point.
We might.
Because there's so much good material here, but we're on 45 minutes already, and I'm sure you're tired of listening to us blabber. And if you're not, you can always listen to another episode.
If you're interested, please rate us 5 stars on iTunes. Please do everything that we are scared about actually happening in the real world. We're at hopsandmonsters@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter.
We also want to give a shout out to the fine folks who did our intro and outro music.
Oh, yes. The Left Hand of Creation. Go find them on SoundCloud and
our
Facebook.
Our friends Thomas and Patrick.
You guys obviously kill it every week with the music. I love that. I love this show. I love talking
and we love you.
About nerd stuff with you, Ben.
Yeah.
I hope everyone else does too. Please let us know if you do.
On social media and ask us questions, and maybe we'll talk about some on the air.
Let's continue this conversation. I'm Charlie.
I'm Ben.
This is Hops and Monsters. Go see Black Mirror. It's on Netflix.
Keep it real, y'all.
Keep it real.